The school day started like any other, with the sun shining through the windows and the sound of students chatting in the halls. I, however, felt a sense of unease in my gut that I couldn't quite shake. Little did I know that this day would turn into a nightmare beyond imagination. As I sat in the classroom, our teacher, Mrs. Johnson, began the lesson. But something was off. My classmates seemed restless, fidgeting in their seats and whispering to each other. Their eyes were glazed over, and they were unusually quiet. Suddenly, without warning, one of the students at the back of the room stood up, his face twisted in an unnatural grimace. He lunged at the nearest student, sinking his teeth into their arm. The classroom erupted into chaos as screams filled the air. I couldn't believe my eyes as my classmates turned into something out of a horror movie. Their skin turned gray, their eyes became bloodshot, and they groaned like the living dead. They were zombies, and they hungered for human flesh. Fear coursed through me, but I knew I had to act fast. I grabbed my backpack and bolted out of the classroom, leaving behind the gruesome scene. The school had become a nightmare, a maze of terror where every corner held the threat of a ravenous student-turned-zombie. I knew I couldn't stay hidden forever, so I needed a plan. I headed to the janitor's closet and found some cleaning supplies. It was the best I could do for weapons. With a mop handle in one hand and a spray bottle in the other, I cautiously made my way through the darkened hallways. The moans and shuffling of the undead echoed through the building. I had to be careful, moving quietly and avoiding any unnecessary noise. The hallways were filled with locked classroom doors, but I could still hear the faint cries of survivors trapped inside. My heart pounded as I rounded a corner and came face to face with a group of zombies. They turned towards me, their lifeless eyes locking onto my trembling form. With trembling hands, I sprayed the cleaning solution into their faces, hoping it would slow them down. It did, but only for a moment. I used the mop handle to push them away and ran past, not looking back. My goal was to find a way out, to escape this nightmare and get help. I knew I couldn't do it alone, but I had to try. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached the main entrance. The doors were locked, but I could see the daylight outside. With all my strength, I slammed my body against the doors again and again until they burst open. Freedom was just a few steps away, but the zombies were closing in. They moved with a relentless determination, driven by their insatiable hunger. I had to make a run for it. With a final burst of adrenaline, I sprinted through the open doors and into the bright sunlight. I was outside, away from the horrors of the school. But I knew the nightmare was far from over. I needed help, and I needed it fast. I ran as fast as my legs would carry me, not looking back at the school that had become a tomb for my classmates. As I reached a nearby street, I spotted a police car patrolling the area. Relief flooded over me as I waved them down, trying to explain the horrors I had witnessed. They didn't believe me at first, but the desperation in my eyes must have convinced them. They called for backup, and together we returned to the school. But it was too late. The school was empty, the zombies gone. My classmates were lost, and the nightmare left scars that would never heal. I was the only one who made it out alive, the sole survivor of a day that turned a place of learning into a realm of unspeakable horror.